I got the. Did you have this still?
I do have that.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
see?
we have that.
Nope, I
don't know
I
what
don't
this
have
is.
that either.
Patrick, what the heck, man?
I promise you sent me different stuff. I swear.
No, it's just
I swear to it. I did not.
I sent one box that I. Oh wait. Okay, so maybe that one I haven't sent you yet.
Because I was starting to feel bad, and now I'm realizing that my box had different stuff in it.
Well, if you only have 2 things left, then I need to send you more. So anyway, it's
All right. So wait, what are y'all eating?
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show, year 2. Here we are, back. What? It's year 2. We're well into year 2.
Are you going to say that all 52 episodes?
Yeah, I'm going to say that
two?
for 52 more episodes, and then I'm going to go to year 3.
I'm laughing because I never know what you're going to say after you say welcome to. I never know what's
I don't know
gonna
that
come
he knows. I always
I
feel
don't
like
think
he's
I
like,
know.
welcome
I like it.
back
I enjoy it,
to the
but-
Janchi Show.
We
have
grab bag
landed
of
in your ears.
whatever.
It is a crisp 50 degrees, but we're
We're
here
not back
early,
on the plane again,
so
are we?
they don't have a gate.
Oh yeah, he was just
No.
pilot voice right there.
He was a pilot voice.
He's just that pilot cadence. He's got it down.
Well, I am Nathan, one of your hosts of the Janchi Show.
My captain.
Yes, I'm not the captain. I am.
No, you are the captain.
I am
That's
a co-host. I'm a co-captain. How about
We've
that?
got the captain, we've got the dictator, and then we've got me.
And then me.
But I am here with Patrick and KJ. How you guys doing?
Hello. You'll find when the mask drops overhead, make sure to secure your oxygen mask before assisting anyone next to you.
Would you like any snacks? Any peanuts?
This 747 is equipped with 3
No
exit
peanuts.
points.
They don't do peanuts anymore.
Oh
Or
yeah,
at least
they
they
don't.
shouldn't.
They do the Strupel waffle or whatever, the wafer cookie. That's what I got on Delta.
On some of them.
The
yeah.
Biscoff cookie?
Yeah, the Strappen.
I've had pretzels mainly is I think the number one thing. But
Oh yeah, pretzels.
we are the Janchi Show. We are 3 adoptees from Korea.
Talking about airplanes.
Talking about airplanes. No, that's not what our podcast is about. What is our podcast about, Patrick?
Our podcast is about celebrating our shared identities as Korean adoptees, our shared heritages as Koreans and as Asian Americans. And we're doing that together. That's what Janchi means. So just to throw it out there, the show title means what the show means. So yeah,
Wow.
it's
Whoa.
a wild.
It's like we did that on purpose.
How
It's a
convenient.
wild thing to think about, those things happening that way. But yeah, that's what we do. We do this together. Sometimes we have a guest. We have a really great interview coming up for you guys in a little bit. But before we get to that interview, it is our first episode in NAM, which stands for National Adoptee Awareness Month. And some people call it Adoption Awareness Month, but I call it Adoptee Awareness Month because we are all about reclamation, baby, and we are reclaiming this for ourselves.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, I like what you said on your Instagram is that it is more adoptee based and less adoption based because it should be about the adoptees as well.
Yeah,
So,
so I mean, that's a little bit of the history I talked about in my post today, which is not today, but previously, though. Actually, yeah, it was yesterday.
On November 2nd.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Hey.
That's
Or,
today.
November 2nd, 2021, if you're listening far in the future.
Exactly. Whenever you're listening to us, it was prior to when you're listening to it. And you can go to my Instagram and find that. But anyways, the whole history of this was really, so I actually have a little bit more in depth written down. Started in 1976 in Massachusetts when the governor of that state announced the Adoption Week. So bring awareness to specifically foster youth that needed to be adopted. And then in 95, it was made into a whole month by Bill Clinton, specifically for that reason. However, it is very much not necessarily about that at all when you come to think about it, because a lot of the stuff that you see is more specifically just hyping up adoption as something that you can do, as a good thing that you can do, less about the experiences of adult adoptees, and which is my whole case that I state in that post. And so that's what I wanted to talk about very briefly before we get to the interview. I just wanted to ask you guys if you had been thinking about this month even before November 1st, and how you're approaching November and NAM in your own respective ways.
I have thought about this month a little bit leading up to it, mostly because the adoptee voices that I follow were like talking about it. And I actually really appreciate the grace that they were talking about it with. They were like, hey, if you're an adoptee, we realize that this month can be hard for you because thinking about your adoption often comes with a lot of grief. And so, take time for yourself. And also, if you're an adoptee and you don't do anything for this month, that's totally cool. And I think that it can feel like when you're an adoptee and you're following a bunch of adoptees and you hear them speaking out and speaking up and telling their stories and their experiences, it's so fantastic and inspiring. And I think it also, for me anyways, puts some pressure to be like, dude, you got to do something. Like, people are following you, people are like connecting with you or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. I should do something. So I actually have started a podcast. It's called the Janchi Show. And so it's JONECHI. Where I and two other people talk about what it means to be an adoptee. So it comes out every Wednesday on the Just Like Media podcast network. So it's kind of a rival to this one, but I think it's okay that we have that crossover.
How's that going so far?
How dare you?
It's not great. We were actually gonna launch today, but we had some bugs in the recording process. So I think the episode will drop next week by the time that you're hearing this, which would be November 10th. 2021, but I don't know. We'll see.
How's Joan doing?
Who's that?
You said it was the Joan.
No, it's JONE.
Yeah. No.
So arguably it could be pronounced like the Joni Chi Show, but
the Joni Chi Show. Well,
yeah.
To pick on a serious point that you brought up, I think that's something that I've seen talked about a lot is like how when we were approaching this month, like if you don't do anything at all, that's totally okay. And I think Katie had a really eloquent way of stating it in one of her posts, just like, I'm only going to be operating for like at least till the 15th and no further. And just because I need to take time for myself, because it's a heavy month, we're doing a lot of celebrating, but we're also doing a lot of reflecting. And a lot of that has to do with things that we don't like to reflect on all the time. So, even though with your hypothetical, potentially theoretical podcast is going,
hey, it's a real thing,
going strong.
Jeez. Gaslight me about my own podcast.
If you don't do anything, that is okay too. We are here and we support you.
We support your Janchi Show.
We support the Janchi Show.
You.
Nathan, what about you? What are you doing, or how are you approaching this month?
Yeah, well, I've been definitely a little more vocal on my Instagram account, so I've been posting a few things every day. I liked the idea of kind of posting a little bit, and then it doesn't have to be much. So I'm posting just a little bit about my background or about my name, and just seeing where it goes from there. I've actually made a lot of connections from that, and on top of that, I'm just going through other people's posts, seeing what they're saying about themselves, learning a little bit about the people that I already knew. Or that we've talked to on the show, and then finding out, oh, well, this is more of a backstory of this person, or this is finding more about, some of our friends, Korean names and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm just reading more on top of, posting a little bit more. And some of the stuff I've posted is stuff I've said before on the show. And I'm trying to learn a little bit as well as, with whatever extra time I have. I did see a graph that I thought was interesting. And, briefly, we mentioned already that adoption is more than just about adoption. It's about the adoptee as well. And a lot of people don't think about that. The other thing I saw, though, was like a little triangle with the 3 points on it, talking about all 3 points. Was there the adoptee on one side, the biological family on one side, and then the adoptive family on the other corner. So it's really can be all three of those in a way connected. So the stories that you may hear this month are not just adoptees. They could be the biological or the adoptive families as well. Parents who have put up their kids for adoption or adopted themselves. And then, of course, the adoptees. So getting a little bit of everything.
The triad, for sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, everybody on the show knows, you guys know that I post fairly frequently. I don't know if I would say frequently. I'd say maybe infrequently. But I think for this month, I had been working on 4 separate things that I was going to release over this month. And then I released one. And then the very next day, I released another one that was unplanned because I just had these thoughts rolling around in my brain. So I think, I want to not do as much. I think I want to be more deliberate with my time, but also I know that I'm very impatient and very impulsive, and so stuff just pops out, which is okay, which is kind of, but, you know, I think something that I am personally really looking forward to is the amount of adoptee-led events that have been going on, which gives me less time, or which makes it easier for me to not do as much, because I know that I'm going to be going and learning and listening to a lot of other people, as well as facilitating an event myself. So I have that coming up on the 7th with Katie, a panel about reclamation in the adoptee community. But I was wondering, for both of you, is there anything specific that you're looking forward to this month that is either happening as an event or something that you are thinking about doing that you're like, hey, I can't wait to do this later in November? Not Thanksgiving.
But I like eating.
You can say eating.
So I know that my podcast hasn't even technically launched yet, but I think one of the things that I'm thinking about is a community for that. And so trying to find a place where we build out safe spaces to have thoughts and kind of like word vomit so that we can be more eloquent to people like on social media or whatever. So I don't know. That's the thing that I'm thinking about doing this month. But realistically, like if I don't know that I'm looking forward to anything because I don't get on social media a ton to begin with. And so I'm grateful for everything that I see. And so I guess one thing that I'm actually seriously thinking about doing is just making a post for other adoptee voices that you can follow, because like, even though I am a voice, I don't like use my Instagram for that a ton. Really, if I do anything, it'll be on Twitter and just be like, whatever. But yeah, I think that whatever is going on, I'm just happy to support and advocate for and help uplift those things that I hear about. But yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
I'll say I'm not really looking forward to a ton of things.
I'm looking forward to that.
I appreciate your support. I appreciate your thumbs up every time you like a post. See,
it's a heart, bro.
It's a heart.
It's a heart. It's a like. It's whatever. Sorry, thumbs up on Facebook.
Oh, I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, actually, the Facebook's got like 10 or now or something.
Yeah.
Never mind. I take that back. Whatever you choose to emoji me with, thank you.
Well, what are you looking forward to then? What are you looking forward to liking with a thumb or heart?
Good point. I don't know. I just enjoy. I mean, as far as the month goes, I enjoy seeing more activity, I guess, in the adoption space. Even if people aren't doing it, there are a lot of people who are doing it, and I just see more posts about it. Although I have noticed that NAM hashtag brings up a whole lot of other things on Instagram that it's not adoption related. So I'm trying to figure out how to filter that out. But I click on that and I try to find posts and see what people are talking about. So I'm just, I'm taking it, like you said at the very beginning, a little bit of both, a little bit of, using my words and my word vomit, as KJ put it.
Sometimes that's what it is.
I know, that's what I feel like it. Sometimes when I'm writing it down, I'm like, am I rambling? What am I talking about? Is this even necessary?
I had created another Instagram account to try to like do some stuff, but I got so in my head about it that I posted one time and I was like, this is so much work. I'm not going to do it. So,
well, I think that, that's the great thing about social media is it allows us different ways and tools to be able to use our voices, especially if we're doing it for the first time. But also the really intimidating part is because like everybody can see it. It's like, and it's navigating how much you want to share, what you're going to talk about, making sure that it's like articulate and eloquent, unlike myself. And I think that's what's really been striking to me this year, because last year was the first time we celebrated this, but even this year compared to last year, so many more people, I think, are stepping out and sharing, especially in the introduction day. Like on the first day of November, I was really surprised, like pleasantly surprised how many people participated in that. And I thought that was amazing just because I think, I've been saying this, but I do feel like this past year, 2-3 years have been a renaissance of the adoptee voice. And I think you really saw that on day one of NAM. So I'm really excited to be participating in this. I know that we're going to get into it a little bit more in our next episode. But for now, I think this is a good segue into the interview because we have a really great one. It's a twofer. We have cousins Erin Beals and Danny Chan on the podcast today. these are two adoptees who are sharing their stories kind of for the first time. You know, they've been coming together as a community in a Facebook group that Erin had started. But they are going to be sharing with us and sharing with you, our audience, a little bit about how they got to that point. They talk about DNA tests. They talk about how they've connected with Korean culture and what they're really looking forward to. And we talk a lot about bacon. And then we have a good snack portion about, snack portion too.
As it should
a good eating portion of the Janchi Show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that interview.
All right. Welcome back to the Janchi Show interview portion. We are here with Erin Beals and Danny Chan. Thank you guys so much for coming on to the show. You guys are cousins, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And you are both adopted.
Correct.
So that's amazing. I am really looking forward to hearing more of your story and about that connection between that relationship and everything. But first off, as we do with all of our shows, we start off with just a little bit about your adoption story, as much as or little as you want to tell us. So since there's two of you, you guys, may know each other's story.
Duke it out, fisticuffs.
Yeah, you can.
Rock, paper,
throw punches across
we'll
the
only
Zoom.
be the ones that know.
Yep, we won't know. You guys tell us as much or as little as you'd like. Whoever would like to go first.
Well, let me start by just.
you go
Let
ahead.
me start. No. Let me start by just saying that Danny and I do talk about 4 times a week on Zoom,
Oh, nice.
so we do know a lot about each other. So with that, I'll start if that's okay with you, Danny, just because I think
go
Danny's
ahead.
story is a little bit more interesting than mine. But I will say that I was born January 17th, and I will say that all of this is true because I have met my family. So I was born January 17th. Birth name was Mira Yu, so Korean would be Yumi Ra, meant spread beauty. I was adopted officially on June 3rd, 1992. My dad at the time was 28. He was a government official. He worked on the railways. And my mother was 28, and she passed away 3 days after I was born. And I had a brother at the time who was 2 years older than me. And so because my mother passed away, my father felt that it was too much work to work and also have an older brother. So he felt that there was no other option at that point other than just relinquishing. So that really was my story. I felt a little bit of kind of, why did they keep him and not me? And then I was adopted here. I have mom and a dad. Dad is half Irish, half Italian. Mom is fully Italian. So I grew up very, very in a very Italian household. I have a
deeply New Jersey.
very, very New Jersey Italian household. I will say, not like The Sopranos at all, though. But I have been to a lot of those cool places when I watch the show, so that's pretty awesome. And I have a brother who also was adopted from Seoul, 2 years older. He lives in Florida now. I grew up in a very nice middle class area. My parents made sure I had the best of everything. I did grow up in a very predominantly white area, so most of my friends were white. I had a lot of the questions of, why don't you look like your parents? Most of my friends would ask the questions growing up of, do you want to meet your parents? Why are you curious? Everything like that. So a couple years ago, I found a different cousin on Ancestry. And so I did talk to him for a little bit. And then I talked to a different girl who showed me a picture of just great-great-grandparents. And so she said, oh, maybe your grandparent could be in this. And that kind of helped me get out a little bit of the adoption fog, because I wasn't that curious growing up, but that kind of helped me find my search a little bit. And because of that, I just decided to actually reach out to Holt. And because of that, my father was found, and they did confirm that my mother had passed, and they reached out and they sent a letter, and my dad responded within a day. and had said that he had been thinking about we always, and not only had he remarried, but I had a younger sister also. So they reached back out again, and they wanted to do a Zoom through the agency, but I'm a person that doesn't like to wait. So I said if they wanted to, we could Zoom ourselves. And the person didn't even know about it, and she found out that we Zoomed, and I got to meet them for the first time. So that was the first time, and they actually ended up meeting my parents, and they ended up meeting my husband's family, who I'm very close to, and I ended up meeting my brother, which was a very big deal. And so we still keep in touch, not as much as we used to. We used to keep in touch weekly on Zoom, but we do keep in touch through WhatsApp. So, but before that, though, I did find Danny on Ancestry and 23andMe, and Danny and I found out that we had a close connection, and we've kept in touch ever since. So there's a way bigger connection than that, but so
well, Danny,
that's my story.
Wow, way to bury the
Aaron
lead.
set it up as you have a more interesting story, and I have about 1,000 questions after
I know,
Aaron's
because
story.
that was a pretty interesting story already.
I do not have a more interesting story.
Well, we're going to put you on the spot now, Aaron. We're going to get back to you with all of these questions that I've just written down. But Danny, fill us in on your story.
So I was born May 21st, 1990. And when I looked at my paperwork, it didn't even actually say like a city. When I Googled it, it's like Cheongbukdo, and it's just like a province. And I think I came from like EWHS or something similar to that. And I think I came around 6 months after May. And so I was adopted by my parents are my dad's Chinese and my mom's Japanese. So I grew up in an Asian household, which I found out was not very common amongst a lot of cats.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And because I have an older brother who was also adopted. My Korean name is Sang Ho Lee, and you know, when me and my brother first found out, he was like, "Oh, your name's Ho," and I'm like, "Whoa, that's freaking great."
Technically, Sang Ho.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
now that we know more of that, right?
Yeah.
My name's Sang too, though at least the first part of it.
There we go.
Nice.
But yeah, so growing up, I grew up in a predominantly Japanese household, as most of the immediate family around was on my mom's side, and I went to an all Japanese church. With school wise, just typical California school. There weren't really a lot of Koreans around. There's probably one half Korean kid that I knew, outside of my brother, and so it's like when I'm growing up and I think about joining these CAD groups later on, I like don't think of myself really as like Korean, because everything is based like Japanese growing up. I mean, these masks behind me are Japanese. The whiskey I'm drinking is Japanese, and I don't know anything about Korea, which is crazy. But yeah, when I used to tell people that I was adopted, they would laugh and they would think I was joking or lying, which was just like, well, because there's a lot of predominantly white people in this area as well, and I just found that weird. I was just like, well, I'm not lying, but they're like, you literally look like your dad. I was like, well, I guess you're right, because I kind of do. So, but yeah, no, I randomly got 23andMe and Ancestry, and kind of got a little curious, hoping to maybe find my birth parents just to see what they look like. Instead, I got Erin, which probably is better. I can't complain. She's been a really good cousin and friend to me.
It was a real roller coaster in that
complain,
one
he said.
sentence. You were like, instead I got Erin. And I was like, oh. And then it was like, which actually was a better thing. It was like, okay.
Yeah, and she reached out to me because I used to just periodically just check and look at like the percent of how much your DNA matched, and everything was like really low. So I was like, well, and then I was like, I'm probably not gonna ever see anyone from Korea that's gonna do 23andMe. But I didn't know that there's all of these search agencies and whatnot. My eyes got pretty wide open about all of this information and whatnot. And I'm still in Fresno to this day.
At first, when he said instead I got Erin, or I was like, are we gonna have our first fight on the Janchi Show?
Fisticuffs.
I was like,
Throw
okay, all right.
punches.
This is. I was like, this is a good answer. Okay.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I've just been recently just trying to learn more about Korean culture and everything. So I mean, definitely not a more interesting story at the end of the day, but probably besides the fact that I was adopted by Asian parents, and growing up, I thought all Koreans were adopted by Asian parents. So I was like, when I found out that most people weren't, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So
It's definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah.
So, Erin, we left off with you left it at a cliffhanger. You said this connection was strong. There was a stronger connection that we might get to later. So I didn't know if you want to touch on that now, because I want to I also want to parse the timeline a little bit.
Patrick really just wants to know who has the most midichlorians in their blood.
Oh, nobody ever wants to know that. It's not, I don't even consider that canon. Anyways, yeah, actually I do. That's a lie. When was it for you that you around what time was it that you started to make those inroads into being more interested in your adoptee identity and also your Asian American identity? I know you said that you had a friend who had done the ancestry, and then you guys had conversed, and she had showed you that picture, and that kind of triggered that response. Around when was that initially?
So I found another cousin, which Danny knows about. He knows that I it's not a secret. He knows that I cheated on him.
There's another cousin.
Yeah, there's another cousin.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yes. And so that was around the beginning of COVID, which was March of last year. And I met him online. And then I also have another cousin who I met, and she was the one that showed me the picture. So that's when she said, this could be, she's like, this is my great-great-grandfather, but she is not adopted. So she said, she said, I don't know who, but this could be your grandfather could be one of the kids in this picture. She said, I would never know who it was or something. And that's when I was really in my head, there's a whole side of me, or there actually not even a side, there's all of me somewhere. And I don't even really think about it. And people my whole life have always been, do you want to meet your parents? Do you want to get to know who you are? And I've always been like, my parents here are my parents, which they always are. But that doesn't mean there's still me somewhere. And so when she showed me that picture, there was this, I'm somebody who's really, really intrusive and nosy. And the fact that I didn't know, Danny's nodding like, yes, she is. But the fact that I didn't know who that person was, who that grandfather was, bothered me, because it was part of me that I couldn't point out who it was. This is my family, and I don't know who it is. Whether it's a really, really distant relative, I couldn't point out who it was. And that bothered me because it was a part of me. And so it made me realize that, what can I do about this? And I said, I hold the fate of it. And so many of us do. And if they choose not to, that is totally their choice. But I can do something about it, and I want to know. So that's when I was like, my dad could be sitting in Korea. He could have passed away, but he also could be in Korea. And if he chose, if the paperwork is true and he really did choose it because he felt there was no other choice, I can make something of that and attempt it. And with the fact that he messaged back with a letter in a day really means something. So that's when I just decided to go for it. But that's why I was like, let me do that. But before that, I also, I don't know if I mentioned this, I had created a CAD group. I have a CAD group of a whole bunch of different CADs, and we have a Facebook group and a whole connection of people, which is actually how, even though I met Danny on Ancestry, my first meeting with Danny wasn't private. My first meeting was Danny coming on the group. So that was our first meeting. And so our first meeting actually was the week before the shooting in Atlanta. And so we were actually very, very happy that we all had each other. So, I mean, in this whole thing, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm sure Danny can vouch for me that it's at this point, it's like a family. There's no other way to say it. Just like you all have each other, That's how we are. We all have each other. So throughout our processes, we've all just said how we're going through our birth searches, or if one of us gets a response back that the search didn't work out, we're there for each other. Or in my case, where it did work out, they felt like they were going with it through me. So that was really nice to always have. And for me, I always had Danny with me, which was nice.
How many people are in the group, and how often do you guys do the Zooms?
So we have a Facebook group, which has about, at this point, 108 people. And that's a weekly, once a week group, but it's only for people who want to Zoom. But some people just participate in the Facebook, like the Facebooking, which is like just talking in the Facebook group. So the once a
I love
week.
that you call that Facebooking.
I don't know what else to
they
say.
only participate in the Facebooking.
The chatting.
I mean, it's
the
not
chatting.
a forum section.
Yeah, in the forum section.
I
really
had to
funny.
mute the chat, otherwise I'm gonna get waken up way too early from all these East Coast people.
Well, okay, yeah. So that's just the chatting that they Facebook chat in the Facebook. But so that's, and then there's one formal Facebook Zoom per week. So that's anywhere from 5 people to 15 people. But then we have a chat, and that's for people who really, really want to be extremely active in it. So that's about 10 to 12 people. So that's the people that we've gotten extremely close with, that have been there since the very, very beginning. And that we talk like all the time.
Talk like your family. Like
if you don't look at your phone for a day, Danny, how many messages are there?
I'll wake up and there's like 100. I'm just
there could be like 500
work.
messages.
I gotta go to work
because it's about everything. It's just like a family group text, but it's a Facebook Messenger. So we've gotten really close, and some of us are even meeting up. And so I'll be seeing Danny at the end of October.
Nice. It's always
That's
nice
exciting.
to be able to get together in a group. We just had our first, if you guys have listened to the show, had our first meetup, as listeners of the show will know, and meeting in person for the first time. And KJ put it really well about the power of like meeting online and developing and fostering relationships like you guys have through your groups and through your group. And so I wanted to take it just a couple steps back and talk about what led you, Erin, and then also you, Danny, to start exploring your Korean culture and your Korean heritage specifically. So we have your where you grew up, growing up in a predominantly white community, in your transracial household. And then we have going to do a birth search, going through this reunion process, and then also in the midst of that, creating a Korean adoptee group, connecting with other adoptees. So, Erin, for you, what was the catalyst to really make you start searching for or taking more of an interest in your Korean heritage? Was that something that happened concurrently in like March of last year, or was that happening sooner or earlier than that?
My mom will always admit that her biggest regret as a parent, which I really admire her for, was probably that she didn't have us explore our cultures. She had us grow up really, really Italian, which we love the Italian culture, but she said that was her biggest regret, is that we didn't explore Korean culture at all. She wished that if she could go back, that would be her one thing she would redo. So getting right now into the Korean culture, and even if I'm bored, sometimes instead of watching a show, I mean, not all the time, sometimes I watch a show, but sometimes I will even just read about Chuncheon, where I'm from. I'll read about the tourism. My husband and I will watch a video about it. I mean, then sometimes we'll watch Netflix, but other times we will, other times we'll read about it. Sometimes I'll try to learn different words. It's just some things I feel like I missed And I feel like that did come when I I do feel like COVID did give me some time to really explore about myself. I really do.
Even for your mom to say that she regrets that, I think since we've talked to so many people on the show that had parents that may have done the opposite and actually pushed their kids to do more Korean heritage camps or things like that. From what I remember, a lot of the CADs are like, yeah, we went to a Korean camp or we did this, but they weren't into it. It sometimes was not really their interest at the time. So possibly even if your mom had tried to push you to do more Korean heritage exploration, and you might not have been interested at the time. So hopefully she doesn't feel too bad about something like that, because
right. And I do give her credit for admitting that it's not easy for a parent to admit it. So
yeah, definitely. And Danny, I want to pose that same question to you. I know you said that you're a little bit newer to exploring specifically on the Korean side, that identity, but especially growing up in an Asian American household with both Chinese and it sounds like a pretty heavy Japanese influence in culture. What was there? Was it being part of the group that kind of spurred on wanting to search more, or was there any deciding or catalyst like incident that was like, okay, I want to definitely dive in a little bit more?
My original goal, and it all started when I bought the 23andMe, and the frugalness in me only bought it on Black Friday when it was cheap.
Nice.
But,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, same with me.
I hear you.
I originally, my original goal was to, maybe try and find someone who is closely related to me so I could get some medical history, because we're all flying blind here. And then I never expected to develop all these different relationships. And, I think, growing up, all I really wanted was just to see what my birth parents looked like. And, but I mean, I had a really good childhood. And I just kind of sometimes I won't tell my mom things because I don't know if it feels like, I feel like a little guilty, like I'm like betraying her or something or whatever. But I guess she's like fine with it. But that's because kind of like what I felt inside. But yeah, the original goal was just to try to, shake down somebody for some medical history.
Classic. Why do you feel like you're betraying her?
You
don't have to
really
answer.
I really love my
very
mom.
curious.
I just don't know how she feels, and I just, maybe feel like, I just don't want her, like maybe she, in my head, I'm just thinking too much, and maybe would think that, me trying to find all these birth parents, that I would just, somewhat leave her a bit. So, but that's just, maybe I just think too much in my head.
No, I hear you. I'm curious. What generation American are your parents?
My dad would be second generation, and my mom is third generation.
Okay, gotcha. So like pretty in it in terms of like
So yeah,
living in that hybrid culture.
And it was weird because so my mom adopted me when she was 40 and my dad was 43. So they were born in like 47 and 50. And, after World War II and all of that, there was just a lot of hate between the Japanese and the Chinese. And so I never really saw my Chinese side of the family very much. I still don't to this day. They also are spread out a lot further, whereas the Japanese side is more in the Central Valley, California. So
yeah, that was actually coincidentally going to be kind of related to my next question, which was, how has your family wrestled with talking about Japanese Korean history and how that's played into like you being Korean and like being raised very Japanese and kind of all of that identity reconciliation?
For my parents, I don't even think they factored that in, honestly. They both could not have kids, so they were just happy to get me and my brother.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, they were just happy. So I was like, why did you like choose me? And I asked them because they would send like pictures or whatever. And she said both times, like, I just got, first come, first serve. That's what I asked for. I was like, oh, wow. And so they were unsure if they were going to get a second child, which was me. And because I guess if you were actually 40, you could no longer get an actual baby. You had to get someone who was older. And so luckily her birthday was in December. So right at the last minute, they got me.
Wow, y'all's stories, I can't like. Erin, I know that you were like Danny's stories were interesting, but really the two of you both have such interesting stories because I mean we've been doing this show for a year, and I don't know that. I mean, again, it just highlights the wild variety in our stories. Like I don't know that I've heard a story like either of y'all's, and I have met and talked with lots of other adoptees, even far and beyond what we've done on the show, and so it's just fascinating to me to hear your stories and to hear this journey that you've been on. And I love that you've started this CAD group on Facebook so that you can have community and have that, right? It's so important. It's a thing that certainly that we found, and a thing that we've been really privileged by is kind of stepping into the broader adoptee, especially Korean adoptee, but kind of Asian adoptee and international adoptee community. I'm curious, and this is a question for whomever, what's been your experience, or have you taken steps into the broader adoptee community outside of just the Facebook group that y'all started?
There was some sort of dinner that got canceled because of COVID. That I heard through the Facebook group, and I know, right? And I after finding out that it was kind of uncommon that for Korean adoptees to be adopted by Asian parents, I just kind of wanted to maybe like meet more people and kind of get the gist of just being in my little bubble and expanding some things. But very happy with the Facebook group I am in now, and I probably annoy everybody in the chat since everyone's sleeping, and I'll just send memes or whatever.
And then you're asleep, and then you're getting all the messages.
No, I put it on mute so I won't get woken up.
Smart.
Yeah, but you send out a funny meme, and then you have to wait a whole sleep cycle and be like, people liked it, hooray!
Oh no, I send that right before
funny.
I go to sleep.
or sometimes like now on a Tuesday we call them the informal chats, because we just on a Friday, if people are whoever's not doesn't have plans, we'll ask if anyone wants to talk, and then whoever's just hanging out, we talk. And we're just like, it'll be 11, and some of us will be like, okay, we're gonna go to bed, and Danny's like, why? It's so early. And because it's 8 o'clock for him, so he's just hanging out, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. So it's the time difference sometimes that gets to some of us, but for Danny, it's like the sun's still out, and he for some of us, we're getting ready to go to bed, and he's getting ready to go play tennis or whatever he plays. I forget, kickball.
Oh yeah, I'm on a kickball league.
Nice.
Kickball. He's getting dressed to go out though, and we're getting in bed is our point. So that's our other thing. But
have you ever in your group? Have you ever discussed doing like an in-person meeting with everybody? And I mean, you guys said you're meeting soon, correct? But what about the other people in the group?
Yes. So there's about. So other people were invited, but there's about 8 or 9 of us going getting together in October.
Okay, where is that going to be? You guys are out in New Jersey, or
Nathan wants to crash it.
You're invited. It's at my house.
The hesitation was real.
Cool.
She's
I'm just curious on how many of the people in the
though.
group are East Coast. Are they spread out all over the country?
It was going. We were going to meet at that dinner, but we're going to my house instead, just for more because to do free stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's around here.
I like it.
I do love free stuff.
Yeah, I also love the free stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, so this is just I guess pivoting away from that, but kind of related to adoption and especially just like knowing things, right, or not knowing things. Erin, Danny, what is something that you are really excited about or like to learn about with regards to Korea, in regards to your what's the word? Heritage, I guess that's the one.
Well, I feel like growing up in a non-Korean household, I feel like I really missed out on what everyone in Korea grew up with, like the nursery rhymes and what kind of like maybe those kids played the little Squid Game growing up.
No spoilers.
But
I watched
it. But
all I'm gonna say is wow.
Yeah.
It's
just the whole like culture and like the nursery rhymes and like mannerisms, do's and don'ts. I just feel like I don't know anything about who I or my heritage at all. So that's definitely sparked my curiosity.
So really starting with like elementary level, like let's do colors.
Yeah, well, it's just like common things that Korean adults would all know and have in common because they all grew up hearing the same stories, doing the same type of activities. Like here, like in Fresno, growing up, everybody played t-ball. From like 4 to 6, everybody was on all the different soccer leagues and whatnot. And so it's like, well, I don't know what it was like for anyone growing up in Korea like that, and I would I want to know that. But it's also sad knowing what I missed out on.
What's something that you've learned so far in your exploration that's really stuck out to you?
I know Danny's answer. Like even
Korean
if he doesn't
food's
say this, I don't
really
have
good.
I don't have my own answer, but I know Danny's answer
For the
if he
listener at
doesn't
home,
say
Erin
it.
just went real close to the camera and goes, "I know Danny's answer." Got real close in.
to the camera.
I told
love
you
this.
I told you I'm intrusive. I said I don't even if he
She's gonna come
doesn't
through your Zoom window.
That is
Oh
true.
yeah. Oh,
even
no.
if he doesn't say it, I will say it. So
right. Well, let's
he
do
can
like,
say it.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, what do
Say
you
it at the same
think?
time.
What do you think my answer is? Go.
Perfect. Yes, that's what was going to be my question. What do
he
you think
can-
it is?
He can
what do
cook.
you think it is?
He can cook like
it
no
is food.
other.
It is food.
He can
Like,
cook.
yeah, she got me.
You know me
Nice.
well.
I'm just saying at the Chan can cook Instagram.
I'm amateur
Nice.
hour. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Right now, what everyone loves is bacon fried rice.
Mm.
I've altered the recipe now to be more healthier, but the original one had way more bacon and 0 vegetables.
So you've
I
destroyed
made it
the
healthier. It had the original way more bacon.
The original
Yeah.
was great, and I have destroyed it in the name of health.
I do work for a spices manufacturer, so it does help with what I want to cook.
Okay.
'Cause I'll just go
Okay.
get some samples.
Dude, these bulgogi style spare ribs look real good.
So I
found you.
Patrick is already on
He's-
Danny's
Yeah,
Instagram.
that was
I
probably
need
the only
to be there
Korean thing I've made.
immediately.
I did get some supplies earlier this week. I want to make the pancake.
Oh, we're just talking about that.
The hot dog?
Yep.
Hot dog.
Yeah.
Hotok
It-
or the kimchi pancake?
Well, I'm gonna make kimchi and then use that in there to make like the seafood pancake.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I don't remember what that one's called in Korean, but that's delicious.
Scallion pancake. That's what I call
Yeah, and so
You're a scallion
originally
pancake.
the one Korean store in Fresno that I went to, the old man at the register, I was like, hey, like because they make it there fresh, and I asked him, I was like, what's in here, and he just like laughed at me and he wouldn't tell me. And so like weeks later, which I went earlier this week, like they had ran out and they was like, oh, they're supposed to make it on this day, and so there was a kitchen in the back which I didn't even know, and well, obviously because they had to make it there, and I like knocked, and this this old lady came out. I'm like, hey, are you gonna make any more of these pancakes? She said no, because I only showed up like 20 minutes before closing. And so I was like, well, what flour did you like use to make this? And then she was like, well, I use this. I'm like, wait. I pulled out my phone, I opened notes, and I was like, okay, go. So I know what she did now, and so I'm gonna.
You got the recipe.
Yeah,
Nice.
I just needed all the ingredients of what she used, and then I'm just gonna Google everybody's methods of making it to figure out how to do it.
Are you gonna add bacon to it?
it.
So on his
Maybe.
Instagram bio is
Maybe.
"I am the Bacon King." So
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's gone more towards healthier items now, but no, I think I deep fried I like deep fried bacon wrapped pork belly and bacon grease, and it was by far the most amazing thing I ever made.
What?
that sounds
I-
great.
Sorry, Aaron. I'm not coming to your
bacon
house
on
anymore.
bacon
I'm
on
actually
bacon.
going to Danny's house. So
I did feel a year
I don't
like just
blame
get
you.
shaved off my life, but I would have to say it was worth it.
Danny is basically the exhibit me, and he's like, "Yo, I heard you like bacon, so I put bacon and fried it bacon." And wrapped it."
Danny, I had a bacon party at my house one time and invited everybody over to do a bacon potluck. Everyone brought a different dish, and then we rated the dishes and gave away bacon prizes.
That is an amazing. I'm gonna do that.
He's mad. He's like, you didn't invite the Bacon King? Come on, bro.
We
That's
could have been
hilarious.
friends if I had lived in
Yeah,
Fresno,
yeah.
for sure.
It wasn't. Drive's not far from LA.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that sounds great.
Okay, so Erin, what about
Yeah.
you? What's a bit of Korean culture or exploring your identity that you're most excited about right now?
That I'm excited about. Probably, I'm not a great cook, so it would probably be just to explore the food more because I'm not a cook like Danny is. So it'd probably be just to learn more about the food. And also, I'm not big into clothes, but I really like to see the just the Korean fashion. I think the fashion there is beautiful, and I think that I missed out on that a lot. Just seeing all the beautiful, just the beautiful, all the beautiful outfits. Or like my family there sends me pictures all the time, and I'm just like the handboks are beautiful and everything that they have there. They said for some reason my Oma there, she just always says she wants to buy me and William, who's my husband, handboks, and she wants to take a big family picture and cook a whole bunch of Korean food. I guess this is a big thing when there's visitors. So that's her big thing is buying handboks. Because she wants to get a handbok there in Korea for me because she wants to get a big, nice, authentic one.
The reason is tradition. That's just like classic family photo. Everybody wears a hanbok, and so it's just like that's just such an easy, visual, powerful way to claim you again as family, which I think is really beautiful. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that she
Or in our
said.
instance, you wear it inside H Mart, but that was
Yeah,
They might
because
give
your
you a
show's
discount.
producer is a
They didn't give us a discount.
they didn't give it.
They just stared at us.
They
Like
just stared at us and I was
out
like,
of
"Why
our
are you guys in
minds."
here in hanboks?"
We were out of our minds.
Yeah, the H Mart in LA was like way more diverse than I was expecting, and so I was like, nobody's gonna understand this.
Why is there a filming crew following you too? So,
There was one person.
it was good.
Wait, you wore them
Crew.
in H Mart?
Yeah, we really did.
yeah, because our
Is
producer
that the one where you have to go down like the escalator to get
Uh-huh,
in there?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you got stairs?
We did.
Oh.
No, it was fine.
But good
They were
stairs.
good stairs.
Some of them
I
were,
thought
I think, good stairs.
Oh, okay. I would have thought that was
Yeah.
cool.
I think a lot of people thought it was neat. Yeah, they were like,
I had a good time. It was just extremely hot.
it was pretty hot.
It was, yeah. Okay.
Well, you'll not only have to get one from them, but you'll have to, after the adoption and everything, you'll have to get some for your new baby. So that'd be cool. But,
All right.
Awesome.
Well,
You
let's talk
guys-
about H Mart.
yeah.
Made me think about food. Also, it's like after dinner time, and I haven't eaten yet in Central. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna jump in with a snack that I'm gonna find out during the break, and then yeah.
Surprise.
So
Roll it.
yep, take us out. Okay, we're rolling back in. Ready?
Roll it back in.
Hello, everyone. We are back. And remember how I said that I was going to figure out what we were eating during the break? Well, the answer is no one knows because we all have different stuff.
We're eating
So,
everything.
That's really fun.
That's
yeah,
what
it's a
we're
proper. This is like a BYO.
This is like a potluck
Janchi.
that
Bring your own
nobody can
snack.
share.
Yeah. Also, it's all in Korean, so we don't even really know. I'm just furiously googling what I'm trying to eat. So
Same.
I am eating injolmi snack. Oh, snack. Injolmi snack. Which is a variety of tok or Korean rice cake made by steaming and pounding glutinous rice flour, which is shaped into small pieces and usually covered with steamed powdered dried beans or other ingredients. That's from Wikipedia. And TBH, not super looking forward to it after reading that, but it looks good.
That's
so
rice.
yeah,
Looks like a
I
rice-
don't know.
it
I don't
looks-
know how I feel about rice cakes if I'm being
really?
honest. So yeah, who's up next? What?
Well,
who-
explain what it looks like. I mean, from what I can see, it looks like a little Chex Mix almost.
It looks like Chex Mix without the lattice
weave,
work.
the woven weave.
Yeah,
right.
So yeah,
All right.
Aaron, you're also eating a rice cake of some sort, right?
I am. It is circular. It is called Hungry Yeong, which is an organic pine tree shoot rice chip, and it's a K snack.
Okay. That sounds good too. Just plain flavor, nothing.
I believe
no
it's.
salt or
I
anything?
believe it's plain flavored. They said
Plain.
it had a little bit of cinnamon on it.
I mean, that looks like a straight up Quaker Oats.
It does.
Rice
yeah.
cake,
It does.
But
It's what white Americans would think of as rice cakes.
Did you, when you
Yes.
guys used to eat rice cakes, did you put peanut butter on them?
I never used to eat rice cakes, and
Really?
Sarah eats them now occasionally. I'm just like, how do you put those down? 'Cause
I
they-
peanut butter it for
But
sure.
you
peanut
put
buttered
stuff
it?
on
Okay.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
That's what I
Well,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I just
I just
Well, I
ate
also
it
didn't
plain
like
and
peanut butter that much.
regretted not having
You just-
water.
wow, that is intense. All right, Danny, what are you eating?
I'm eating the only thing in English. It says barley sesame hardtack. It looks like a miniature domino.
Barley sesame hardtack. So you're
It's
a sailor from the 1600s.
yeah. It's funny because there's all the label is it's printed on there in Korean, but then it looks like somebody slapped a sticker for the nutritional effects in English, and they just said Korean baked biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
Says it was
So-
made in Korea, so
Hardtack is the word that I was curious about because I saw that as well, and just looked it up. It says gangbang was introduced to Korea during wartime to provide sustenance to soldiers in a convenient manner.
Yeah, hardtack is like a classic military food.
Yeah, so
from,
it's
like, the
dried
1600s.
bread, essentially, is what it's saying. Is
No,
that
it's like
cracker.
dried flour.
Yeah.
I can taste the sesame in it.
Oh, okay. So a sesame barley hard plain cracker, essentially, is what it is.
I would probably dip this in hummus if I had hummus.
Okay. Oh, I think Patrick found some cookies.
Yeah, Patrick's still trying to figure out what he's
That,
eating.
I do have that box.
We gave him the option, and his eyes got so
That's
wide.
true.
So he's like a kid.
We
in a
said
candy
eat
store.
whatever, and he's like, ooh.
Well,
He just
I
walked into a
regret
Toys
my
R Us
choice
and was like,
immediately for the minimal amount of information that is on the internet about this snack. So I'm eating. They're called CW a coupler, a coupler,
A
Two
couple.
Cs.
I don't know.
a couple, maybe
I don't know, man.
European premium cookies. And so there's a number of Hangul items written all over this box. It does say product of Korea, but the
Then
only
he throws it over his shoulder.
the most detailed
Forget this, he
anything that I could find about this item came from a place called Shopee with 2 E's and not a Y and 1 P.com. And all it has is that it says strawberry cream and original cream are sanded in between thin cookies to create a perfect blend of taste! ! Then it lists the ingredients. And then it says originated from South Korea, #CW. That is the
Hashtag
most
CW.
detailed description of this that I could find. And I could not
Maker
find any
of
other information.
The Flash, Arrow, Vampire Diaries, and now this premium European cookie.
It looks like it's got strawberry in it.
If there's two, so full disclosure, there were multiples of these in this box, and I had already tried them prior to the show. But there are 2 separate wafer sandwiches, very
okay.
thin,
Interesting.
Very thin.
razor thin. They do have filling. One is strawberry, and one is original cream, vanilla, I guess.
Okay.
They're pretty good. But no, literally, there's no information. If you can find information, listeners of the show, if you can find information on this, please send it to me.
He doesn't know what he's eating.
Yeah, Patrick doesn't know how to Google things.
Oh, you Google it. Oh, so you Google it.
All right. Well,
I'm busy
eating
snacking on my snack. It's
another
really good.
rice cracker by Nongshim called
Ah,
Cho
classic.
Chung Yugua rice snack. I don't know. It looks good. It looks like Cheetos, but it's being dripped with honey.
Oh, I think I had that at one point. I don't know what happened.
That's what the corn cheese looks like. Cheetos.
It
with
looks
the puffs.
yeah, but it's I don't know if it's like the corn
did not
cheese.
get high ratings when we ate
Yeah,
that.
it did not. So I'm a little hesitant, but what I can find is it says it's a rice snack. It says it's a dessert on the site. So it's got rice, wheat, palm oil, glucose, sesame. I don't know. It's funny because it shows honey being dripped on it, but honey is not an ingredient.
Maybe it's sesame oil.
Maybe it's sesame oil. Good point. Good point.
Is sesame
Yeah, I don't
oil an
know.
ingredient?
It doesn't. No,
Koreans
sesame is.
love koso.
Yep.
So, oh man, that looks really weird.
Does look
Looks
like
better
a
than the corn
distorted Cheeto.
It
does.
looks like a Cheeto, but it's like kind of ripply and it has like little pieces of sesame in it.
It looks like a Cheeto that's been sitting out in the sun for like
Ugh.
too
Yeah,
long,
not to
and
be
it got
ageist, but
it
it looks like a
dried
very old
out.
Cheeto.
Mhm.
You guys aren't making me want to try this, but okay.
We'll try it.
very crunchy.
I can hear.
These tack crackers they're really hard.
It's
It
really
makes
hard.
sense why you said that.
If
They're
I ate too
military.
many of these, I think the roof of my mouth would be bleeding.
Oh yeah.
It makes
What?
sense you said they're military because I dropped my phone on this bag earlier and none of them cracked.
None of them
Can also be used as shims.
Hilarious.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
If somebody
hilarious.
came into your house, you have that bag.
You can throw it
You
at them.
just throw it.
Block the punch.
hmm
knock people out with one hard cracker.
All right, I like these. Other than the extreme crispiness, I'm gonna say it's pretty good.
Does it have a strong sesame flavor or anything flavor?
Yeah, it definitely has the sesame, the rice flavor. I want to say the oil kind of stands out too. It almost, I mean, it tastes like it was like deep fried kind of a thing, and a little toasty to it as well. It must be part of the sesame, but yeah, I would eat these again. I'm still confused about the photo though.
How many dried Cheetos would you give it out of 5?
Give it 4 out of 5.
4 out of
4 out
5
of
dried
5.
Cheetos.
Okay.
Yeah,
What would bump it up for you?
if it was less crispy, maybe, I don't know, maybe
some.
Okay,
it has
some
the right
moist-
amount of
Some
it has the right
moisture.
amount of flavor to it.
Maybe
But I
if they
really
actually
think I'm
put honey on it.
gonna hurt my my mouth. Yeah,
Some honey.
maybe I should go dip it in honey.
It says honey
Yeah.
sold separately. I just looked it up. Got him with that one.
I don't think you did.
I did.
All right.
laughing.
Aaron, how many Quaker Oats do you give your rice cakes
All right.
out of
I see where we're
5?
going.
Oh, probably a 1.
I mean, I've seen you
They're
continue
just-
to eat them, but they're just not,
Because they're
not a
like-
big fan.
They're here, so
Alright,
of
I
course
get
I
that.
am.
I
Technically
totally get that.
exist.
I totally get that.
Yep.
If they were not here, I would not eat them. So I will. After this one, I will probably put them away. We all have been there. If you're at your desk, you're gonna eat something.
Mhm.
Is yours low
You know what?
calorie?
Oh,
Does it say?
they're when they're plain.
Yeah,
of
they're
course,
usually pretty
there's
low, right?
0 of nothing. If
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
eating,
yeah.
I'm
Eat
eating
the whole
air.
bag.
I'm eating air right now.
Crunchy air.
Mine's 150.
I was thinking when you said strawberry, Patrick, you could put jam on this too.
Oh, there you go.
Peanut butter or jam or something.
You just got jammed.
Just got jammed.
All right.
Self-jam.
Danny, how's your hardtack?
How's your hardtacks?
If I had hummus, it'd be really good. They kind of taste like one of those round Ritz crackers, but with like sesame.
Okay.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
You're almost selling
That's
it.
like
for me.
not at
I
all
wanna
what I
try-
expected.
I almost want to try it now.
No.
Yeah.
There
that's not
are.
at all
It looks
how I
like there
expected
are
it.
like black sesame seeds,
Mm.
baked into it.
Oh.
Well, they gotta be black, Danny.
Will you eat will you eat
I don't
them
know,
while
that's
you're
what I
watching?
see.
Will you eat them while you're watching TV?
I feel like it's really loud, so I won't be able to hear anything. So probably
yeah.
not.
Nice.
Unless
You-
it's a foreign film, in which
Do you
case
think
already have
that one's
subtitles
loud?
on,
Here,
so
let me
it's fine.
let me chomp on one of mine again.
I moved my mic away from my mouth so you wouldn't hear it.
That is so caring. I didn't.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning into.
Yeah, that's what
Mine
I
doesn't
did
have
too.
a crunch, so I couldn't make a sound with it if I wanted to.
All right. How many old timey sailors out of 5 do you give your hardtack?
Old timey sailors.
Because it's a sesame in it, I'd probably give it like a 3.5.
All right.
Definitely 5 out
Wait,
of
is the
5 for
sesame a good
durability.
thing or a bad
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
for you?
It otherwise it would just taste like nothing. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Durability, I'll give it
nothing.
a 5 out of 5.
Durability.
It's not like a bag of chips where if you drop it, they're all gonna break.
Oh, are these gone now?
And the attack defense rating is at least a 5 out of 5 as well.
Probably.
that's
yeah.
easily a D7.
It's defense and
Yeah,
offense. Same
Exactly.
Rated for 3-foot cell phone drops. Right on the
All right.
bag.
It could be used as a shield or
Or to pop somebody's tires like a spike strip on the road.
Sarah, how do you feel about this? Enjoy me.
I like the crunch. It doesn't have that much flavor though. But I think I'm okay with that.
You think it doesn't have much flavor?
It kind of tastes like honey, I guess.
I think these are delicious.
There's
how many,
disembodied voice made me laugh real hard.
how many
I know, it's just all
Enjoy
of a
Me
sudden.
snacks do you give it out of 5?
I'll give it 4.
4.
More
okay.
flavor.
Wow. So it's not flavorful enough to get to garner a 5 from Mrs. Relke.
But it is enough to be a 4.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
also give it a 4. They're really good, and we've pretty much demolished this whole bag. Yeah, there's only a couple left.
Okay. How sweet is it?
It's like a sweetness that builds. So it doesn't strike you immediately, but like as you eat them, you're like, oh yeah, I can really like. So it's, I don't know, it's nice. They're kind of like cheese puffs, but not cheesy. They're a different like kind of like a honey flavor, which I think is good. So yeah, that's what I give it.
Good.
Patty McArmstrong, take us home.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my a Kupler or European premium cookies originated from Korea a good old 5 out of 5. Give it a 5 because they taste great. They're super light, but they taste really good. Also giving it a 5 for presentation. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh
That
yeah.
says
They
delicious.
stamped
Does it say
delicious.
delicious on it?
on both sides of the cookie.
That's advertising
In
for you.
English.
You don't even have to know how it is. It
Yeah,
just
I don't even have
tells
to eat this.
you.
It's just already delicious, and I'm giving it
Yeah,
a
but what if it
5
wasn't
for the
delicious?
mystery, for the lack of information on what it is that I'm eating. It's got all the ingredients, so I know all the stuff I need to know. But the fact that it's shrouded in mystery on the internet makes me like it even more. 5 out of 5.
I love when food tells me stuff like that.
Me too.
It
I
just-
love the story.
So do you love
Exactly.
like Laffy Taffy and Snapple?
Exactly. It just told me things, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I told me it's delicious. I don't even have to wonder. It just told me it was delicious.
This makes me want to go on a journey to find where these actually originated from. I'm gonna go to the place that they're making these because it seems like they've been making them for a long time,
Mm.
and I want to know how long it's been stamped with delicious because that's a question that is burning into my pockets
Why are you putting your cookies in your pockets?
because that's where my brain reaches. It's so large.
Interesting. All right. Well, on that note, Erin, Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you, hearing your stories, getting to know you more. Would you plug anything that you want to plug, including but not limited to your Facebook group and your personal social handles so that people can find you and say, hey, you were really great?
Did you say give it to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't have to
Okay.
if you don't want.
Shout them out.
Oh,
If it's a
yeah.
you wanna-
private, if
or
it's
you're
a
like,
private
I'm a
Facebook,
private
Oh,
person, you
yeah.
can just say,
Yeah.
you can find me on Redacted
Yep.
at Redacted.
yes. You could find my Facebook at Erin Beals. My Instagram is Erin Beals. I believe it's Erin Beals 11919, and our CAD group is CAD Zoom Friends. And yep. And please join to come Zoom with some friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes, we would love to have it.
Are non-CADs welcome in that group?
Right now, it is Korean adoptees.
Yeah, so get
CADs
out of here if
only.
you're not a CAD.
Cads only.
We're trying to build a safe space, and you're not welcome here because you're unsafe. JK, I mean, you're probably fine, but you know,
Just kidding.
safe
Yes.
spaces. All right. Danny, what about you, man?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm the Chan Can Cook, like Yan Can Cook, but I changed
Ah,
it.
nice. The
Yeah.
Chan can cook.
Don't try to Facebook me because if you Google my name, just some famous Chinese singer pops up. So
But
Wait,
it's
what?
actually
Won't
you.
accept
Oh,
my
I don't
friend
have
request.
Facebook anymore, so I can't even look.
and my MySpace. No, I'm just kidding.
And you can find me my blog on Zanga at
He was hoping MySpace would come back the day that Facebook
That was
went
it.
down.
That was a joke. That was a joke. I do miss top 8. I will say that.
Oh my! I was just thinking. I'm like, you better put us in your top 8, bro.
Yep, for a whole week after our episode drops.
The top 8
Thanks.
was one of the most traumatic things that I've ever experienced. We'll
That is
get
very
into
true.
that. We'll get into that on a solo.
Says the
episode.
adoptee.
We'll get into
Hey,
that
I know
on a
we've been
solo
through some
episode.
stuff, but let me tell
Been through
you,
a lot.
Dude, that was. We'll get into it.
It's just
later.
when you
That's
wake up
another
the
time.
next day and you've been removed from someone.
Oh, that
See,
was
now, bringing it back up for me. Bringing it
No,
right
that-
back to
that was-
this is a
that
trigger
was
warning
tough.
for
That
all
was
of your
very
MySpace
tough.
trauma.
That's some real drama right
If
there.
you want to have us back just to talk about that, I will come back because that was a hard middle school life. So,
Or high
was.
school or college. We're not.
or
ageist
yeah.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
sure.
any age you were, that was tough.
It didn't matter how old you were. That was a rough time.
That was a rough
That
time.
was tough.
We'll come back to talk about that another time if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you're like, no, but I want to talk about it right now, then you can jump into our Facebook group, competitor and rival to the CAD Zoom friends group.
not
JK, it's not a rival, but you can join our Facebook group, the Janchi Show After Party, to come and hang out with us. and do all the Facebooking that you want, you can send us an email to janchishow, justlikemedia.com. Or you can tweet at us /gram us /whatever us at Janchi Show on all the other social platforms. And if you want to talk to any of us personally, you can find me at KJ Roki, wherever I want to be found on the internet.
You can find me at Patrick in the World on Instagram and at Patrick in the World on Twitter, because I changed my handle and it's Patrick in the World with no vowels.
Patrick.
I forgot what the letters are called.
You're ridiculous. It's Patrick in the World, but
with no vowels.
So it's just in the world.
Oh yeah.
You can find me at Bleeding Gums.
At the roof of my mouth is bleeding.
.com.
.com? Why is it a .com?
I don't know. And Nowak on Instagram, and of course Nathan Nowak on Facebook.
Cool. And that is it for our show. Danny, Erin, thank you again so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
thank you for having us.
Your story for the Janchi exclusive.
Aaron and our
Danny.
first, I guess, CADs who have met on Ancestry.com and connected. We have not had
Oh yeah, that's
people.
a number of firsts.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
So, there
really?
you go.
Yeah, we're first. Nice.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week. Until then, Janchi Heyo.
Bye. That was probably really loud.
Nah, you were good. All right.
Your echo.
Back.